Feel Good. I am Joyticles. Joytopia, April 2025. Contents 1. All begins and ends with joy. Truism 2. Joy is topology optimization of suffering. 3. Emotional fittest. 4. Ontological joy monism. 5. Sun as metaphor. 6. Joytopia code 7. Global rates 8. Life graph 9. Name changing 10. Overall rates 1. All begins and ends with joy. Truism. Every intention, every decision, every goal, no matter how complex or seemingly abstract, ultimately aims at one thing: joy. Whether we're conscious of it or not, joy is the invisible compass behind all we do. It's not simply one good among many, it is the good that all other goods aim toward. Joy is the end to which all goals point, and the reason we desire anything at all. Strip any goal down to its essence and what you'll find is this: I believe this will make me feel better. That's the universal driver. We don't seek money for its own sake, we seek it because we think it will bring freedom, safety, pleasure, ease. We don't chase relationships for the technicality of partnership, we desire the love, the connection, the shared joy we imagine they'll bring. Even when we choose suffering, like training hard, facing conflict, or sacrificing for others, we only do it because we believe the end result will feel better than not doing it. Even avoidance or self-harm follows this strange law. It's a misguided attempt to escape a worse feeling. Always, the root motive is to reduce pain and increase joy. This makes joy the ontological foundation of action itself. It's not an extra layer or reward tacked on after achievement, it's the seed and the soil. It's what propels the journey and what awaits at the destination. Like a circle that completes itself, all things begin and end with joy. Joy is also the silent editor of belief. People believe what feels true, what resonates, what aligns with their emotional state. Logic matters, but only if it supports the inner feeling of joy. When something clicks, it's not just because it's factually accurate, it's because it feels right. Joy is the light that illuminates truth, the energy that gives belief its charge. Even suffering teaches us this. Pain shows us what joy is not. It's contrast. Like negative space in a painting, it reveals the shape of what matters. Without the experience of misalignment, we wouldn't know what alignment feels like. But suffering is never the goal, only the signal. The moment we stop romanticizing pain as noble or necessary, we can see it clearly, a pointer toward realignment, not a requirement for growth. This understanding changes everything. It gives moral clarity. If an action does not lead to joy, if it leads to collapse, despair, numbness, it is misaligned with life itself. Joy becomes the highest ethic. Not selfish, not indulgent, accurate. It is the most sustainable, intelligent, and reality-compatible goal. That's why joy is not optional. It's not some luxury reserved for weekends or retirement or some one-day ideal. It's the only thing we ever wanted. All other wants are translations. We are joy-seeking organisms, joy-designed consciousnesses, moving through a joy-made universe. And every moment we move toward what feels better, not recklessly, but consciously, in alignment, we are moving closer to truth, to power, to home. All begins and ends with joy. This is the Alpha. This is the Omega. This is the way. To joy is topology optimization of suffering. If suffering is raw material, then joy is what happens when that material is beautifully arranged. Like a chaotic pile of blocks transformed into a strong bridge, or a scattered mess of stones shaped into a sheltering wall, joy is not just the absence of pain, but the intelligent, meaningful reshaping of it. In engineering, there's a process called topology optimization. It's the art of taking a given volume, say, a chunk of metal or space, and reorganizing its internal structure to make it as strong and efficient as possible, using the least material. What results is not always smooth or symmetrical, but it is deeply truthful. The structure reveals where stress flows, where energy transfers, where strength is truly needed. Nature already does this. Bones, tree branches, coral reefs, and even the way rivers cut through land, all follow these same invisible joy-logic lines. They are optimized for flow, for support, for beauty in motion. In the same way, joy is the optimized structure of emotional energy. Life throws us suffering in raw form: loss, frustration, betrayal, confusion. It's heavy, dense, sometimes shapeless. But when we allow it to move, when we feel through it consciously, when we choose alignment, we build something with it. And over time, patterns emerge. Support beams of understanding, curves of forgiveness, inner arches of gratitude, strong columns of clarity. The shape of joy is never random, it is precise. It's a stable pattern built within the very material of what used to hurt. This is why joy feels solid. When we're in alignment, it doesn't feel flimsy or temporary. It feels like a kind of inner architecture, like a structure has risen inside us that can carry weight, can hold others, can bridge chasms. Joy built from suffering isn't weak. It's refined. It's been through fire and returned not bitter, but forged. Importantly, this doesn't mean we need suffering to create joy. That's a misunderstanding. Suffering isn't a source, it's a signal. It tells us where the structure is unstable. But the goal is never to worship the pain or camp in collapse. The goal is always to build. And what we're building is something like a bridge of energy, a livable, reliable pathway through reality where our spirit can flow. Imagine the difference between a chaotic, cracked concrete block versus a well-formed archway. Same material, different intelligence. That's what joy does to life. It takes the scattered stress patterns and reorders them into something that supports, something that works. So joy isn't random happiness, it's optimized structure. It's energy and emotion in its most coherent, usable, beautiful form. It's why joy feels like rightness, like stability, like home. Not floating away, but rooted, designed, whole. Joy is the architectural solution to the suffering equation. Same mass, better form. 3 emotional fittest. Not all emotions are created equal. Some survive. Some collapse. Some multiply and build. Others decay, implode, or cancel each other out. Over time, only the emotionally fittest endure, not through force, but through resonance, sustainability, and what we can call the mirror test. What happens when an emotion meets itself? This is the test. The real test. When love meets love, does it grow? When anger meets anger, does it destroy? When joy meets joy, does it explode into light, or fizzle? When sadness meets sadness, does it soothe, or sink? Let's walk through this. Anger meets anger, and it combusts. 2 flames, no fuel, only reaction. There's no structure to hold it. It burns hot but dies fast, collapsing into guilt or exhaustion. Anger can have power, yes, but it can't sustain itself. It consumes the vessel it lives in. Sadness meets sadness, and sinks. It pulls itself deeper, like gravity squared. Sadness can bring insight or softness, but only when tempered by contrast. Pure sadness, mirrored with more sadness, tends toward collapse. It folds inward. It fades. Fear meets fear, and freezes. Momentum is lost. Energy gets trapped in recursive loops. Fear may protect in brief spurts, but it cannot generate forward movement. Two fears don't make freedom. Now contrast this with joy. Joy meets joy, and what happens? It multiplies. It lights up. It doesn't shrink, it expands. This is why laughter is contagious. This is why a single joyful person can uplift a room, a space, a country. Joy is one of the few emotions that, when reflected back at itself, grows. It's self-reinforcing. It has the unique property of mutual amplification. Love meets love, and deepens. It becomes exponential. It builds new levels, new shapes. It's not a zero-sum trade, it's a spark that becomes a flame, that becomes a hearth. True love, not transactional need or approval seeking, but that real, generous current, when it meets itself, it flowers. This is evolution. Not Darwinian tooth and claw, but emotional natural selection. What survives across time, across relationship, across reflection? What stays standing? What can be built on? The emotions that are sustainable, the ones that grow when they are mirrored, are the ones that pass the test. They are the emotionally fittest. It's not about denying the darker emotions. Every emotion has information. But sustainability is the key. You wouldn't build a house out of quicksand. You wouldn't plant a garden in fire. If you're crafting a life, a society, a philosophy, a future, you want to use the materials that don't just burn bright, but hold strong. Joy does that. Love does that. Gratitude, appreciation, presence, these are the load-bearing emotions. These are the ones that not only survive meeting themselves, they thrive in it. So the next time you're asking what's real, what's trustworthy, what's worth following, put it in front of a mirror. Let it meet itself. If it grows, it lives. If it breaks, let it go. Because in the end, only the emotionally fittest survive. And their survival isn't conquest, it's coherence. For ontological joy monism, reality is not a chaotic mess of disconnected phenomena, it is a harmonious interplay of opposites, where each thing in existence is ultimately a gradient or expression of a singular force, joy. What we perceive as diverse elements, heat and cold, light and dark, activity and time, matter and space, are not separate from one another, nor are they fundamentally at odds. Instead, they are all different manifestations of the same underlying substance. And this substance, this unifying force, is joy. Ontological monism tells us that there is one fundamental reality, one substance, one force that exists in all things. In this model, everything, every object, every emotion, every experience, is made of variations of this substance. In the case of joy monism, we recognize joy as the foundational substance of reality itself. Everything that exists is a form of joy in varying densities, intensities, and expressions. This is the deep truth. Joy is the ultimate behind all things, the one true constant in a universe that may appear diverse, but is fundamentally unified in its core. Let's take a closer look at some of the dualities that often seem like opposites, yet are simply different ends of the same joy spectrum. Heat and cold are not two entirely separate forces, they are two sides of the same temperature continuum. Both are expressions of energy, movement, vibration, and frequency. Heat is a higher frequency of joy, a state of expansion, vibrancy, and activity. Cold, on the other hand, represents a lower frequency, a stillness or calm, a momentary compression before the next wave of energy moves in. When we experience cold, we are not experiencing a lack of energy or joy, we are experiencing joy in its contracted, latent form. Just as cold can invite reflection, rest, and renewal, heat is joy in its active, expansive form. Both heat and cold ultimately serve the same underlying force, joy. They simply represent joy at different levels of intensity. Light and dark are the visible forms of energy, both of which emerge from the same source. Darkness, often thought of as the absence of light, is actually an essential part of the cycle. It allows space for the light to appear, to be seen. The dark is not the opposite of light, it is the complementary space in which light can manifest. Darkness holds potential, like the silence before a new song, or the pause before a new idea bursts forth. In this sense, it is a lower density of joy, preparing the way for the more intense and active expression of joy in light. Similarly, light, be it the sun, a spark of creativity, or the warmth of connection, is a concentrated flow of joy made visible, vibrating at a higher frequency. Both light and dark are part of the same reality, joy in motion. The dance between these dual forces is not a struggle, but a cycle of creation, of expression, of unfolding joy. Activity and time reflect the relationship between presence and absence in a dynamic, complementary way. Just as heat is to cold, activity is to time. Activity represents the manifestation of joy in motion, whether it's the pulse of a heart, the beat of music, or the energy of thought. Time, conversely, is the absence of activity, like space is the absence of matter. Time is not a force that is inherently separate from activity, it is simply the space in which activity occurs. It is the silent pause, the empty field in which joy can unfold in action. Without time, there would be no rhythm, no unfolding, no moments of creation. Without activity, time would have no measure, no progression. Time holds the potential for joy to move and grow, while activity is joy in expression. The two work together, activity fills time, and time gives activity its framework, creating a continuous dance of joys unfolding. Matter and space. Matter, the stuff of the universe, is often seen as separate from space. But in truth, matter and space are inseparable. Matter is energy, joy concentrated into particular forms, whereas space is the medium in which these forms exist, the emptiness that allows matter to unfold and move. Space is joy in potential, the quiet pause before the next burst of energy emerges. Matter is joy in form, the tangible expression of the invisible. Just as activity is to time, matter is to space. Matter exists in space, and space allows matter to exist. Space is not the absence of matter, it is the stage where matter moves and changes. Both matter and space are different expressions of the same underlying force, joy. Matter, in its various forms, is joy expressed, space is joy awaiting its next form. Joy and suffering. The ultimate pairing in ontological joy monism is joy and suffering. At first glance, suffering may appear to be the opposite of joy, but in truth, it is simply the absence or lack of joy in a particular moment. Suffering is not a permanent state, it is an illusion created by the lack of joy, just as darkness exists only in the absence of light. Suffering can be seen as joy's shadow. It only arises when joy is blocked, distorted, or out of alignment. But suffering, like darkness, cannot be the true foundation of reality. It is not a substance in itself, but the lack or absence of the ultimate substance, joy. Where joy is absent, suffering emerges, where joy returns, suffering dissolves. In this way, joy is the isness of existence, and suffering is the lack of isness. Joy is the essence that underlies all phenomena, and suffering only arises when that essence is not fully present. Just as cold exists because there is heat, suffering exists because joy is momentarily absent. But joy is the constant, the true substance from which all things flow. The one substance, joy ultimately. All of these dualities, heat and cold, light and dark, activity and time, matter and space, joy and suffering, are not opposites in a battle of forces. They are complementary aspects of the same reality. They are all variations of a single substance, and that substance is joy. This understanding is the cornerstone of ontological joy monism. Reality is fundamentally positive. Everything that exists is a configuration of joy in different states, at different intensities, and in varying forms. All the objects, all the phenomena, all the activities we experience, they are all joy in action. They are joy taking shape, unfolding in its most natural, most beautiful, most real expression. What this means for us is profound. We are not here to endure suffering, to overcome lack, or to battle the forces of negativity. We are here to align with joy, to understand that everything is joy, and to immerse ourselves in that joy as fully and deeply as possible. 5. Sun as metaphor, scale fractal of joyticles. One of the most powerful metaphors for understanding the nature of joy in the universe is the sun. The sun, in its magnificence, is both a literal source of light and life, and a metaphor for how joy functions in a fractal, scaling pattern throughout the universe. At its core, the sun is a massive ball of energy, constantly emitting waves of heat and light, sustaining life on Earth, and powering countless processes within our solar system. But if we consider this process more deeply, we see that the sun is also a symbol of the fractal nature of joyticles, the fundamental units of joy that permeate all of reality. The sun as the source of life and joy. The sun can be seen as the origin of vitality, light, warmth, and energy, qualities that are essential to life. Every living organism on Earth is in some way powered or sustained by the sun. Plants harness sunlight for photosynthesis, animals depend on plants or other animals for sustenance, and the very processes of life on this planet are ultimately fueled by solar energy. In this sense, the sun is like the core source of all joy. Just as the sun sends out its rays and sustains all forms of life, so does joy permeate every aspect of existence, infusing all that is with its energy. Joy, like the sun's rays, is everywhere, and everything alive is an expression or reflection of it, whether directly or indirectly. Joyticles as microscopic suns. Imagine that joy exists as tiny particles, called joyticles, scattered throughout all of reality. Each joyticle behaves like a miniature sun, radiating energy and vibrancy in its own way. Just as the sun, in its vastness, produces a continuous stream of light and heat, these joyticles collectively form the source of all experience, emotions, thoughts, actions, and phenomena. In this metaphor, just as the sun's rays reach out in all directions, joyticles are everywhere, embedded in the fabric of reality. They are the building blocks of the universe, driving every moment, every sensation, and every experience. Just as the sun's heat sustains life on Earth, joyticles sustain our lives and the lives of all beings. They are the force behind the existence of matter, energy, and consciousness. When we experience moments of joy, we are tapping into the flow of joyticles, those tiny, radiant points of pure energy that make up the essence of all things. Every happy thought, every feeling of contentment, is an expression of these joyticles coming together in harmony. When we align with joy, we align with the sun within us, tapping into that same expansive, radiant energy that fuels all of life. The scale fractal of joyticles. The concept of a scale fractal is key to understanding how joy, like the sun's rays, is distributed throughout the universe. A fractal is a self-similar pattern that repeats itself at different scales. This means that the structure or essence of a fractal is the same whether you're looking at it from a microscopic level or a cosmic one. The sun itself operates as a scale fractal. Its energy radiates outward in waves, and as it passes through space, its intensity diminishes with distance, but it never ceases to be present. Similarly, joyticles are distributed throughout reality in a fractal manner, scaling up or down depending on the context. At the smallest scale, joyticles exist as individual bursts of energy, like the photons of light emitted by the sun. At the larger scale, these joyticles can be seen as more complex patterns, emotions, relationships, experiences, that are still driven by the same underlying force. Just as the sun's rays form a vast, interconnected web of energy in the cosmos, joyticles form the web of reality itself. This fractal pattern means that joy is not limited to one moment or one place. It is everywhere, from the smallest sensation of pleasure to the grandest experience of bliss. Just as the sun's light permeates the whole planet, joy can be felt in every corner of existence. And, just as the sun is a central force in the solar system, joy is the central force in our personal universe. It is the pulse that animates everything. The sun's cycle, joy's cycle. The sun operates in cycles, from its rising and setting to the way it shines across seasons, constantly renewing and reshaping the world around it. Similarly, joy follows a cyclical pattern. Sometimes, joy is intense and overwhelming, like the noonday sun, blazing brightly and filling us with energy. At other times, joy is subtler, like the gentle morning light, quietly illuminating the world in softer hues. Even when the sun seems to disappear behind clouds or when night falls, it's still there, just out of sight. In the same way, joy exists even in moments of apparent absence or difficulty. It may not be immediately visible, but it is always present, waiting to shine again. Just as the sun's light is cyclical, joy moves in and out of our lives, with its presence always guaranteed, even when it feels temporarily obscured. Conclusion: joyticles as the light of reality. In the end, the sun is not just a metaphor for joy, it's a fractal representation of joyticles on a cosmic scale. The sun's warmth, light, and energy are like joy, radiating outward and sustaining life in all its forms. Just as the sun's rays touch every part of Earth, joyticles touch every aspect of reality, from the smallest microcosms of experience to the grandest cosmic phenomena. By understanding joy in this way, through the lens of the sun and its radiant energy, we can begin to see the world in a new light. We can understand that joy is the underlying force of everything, that it is present in every part of existence, and that we are always surrounded by it, just as the earth is always bathed in sunlight. It is up to us to recognize and align with the joy that permeates our lives, just as we recognize and harness the life-giving power of the sun. 6. Joytopia Code. In a Joytopian society, the ultimate aim is to create an environment where every individual's potential for joy is maximized. This society operates on the foundational belief that joy is the essence of life and the key to human flourishing. The Joytopia Code is the guiding framework that governs every aspect of life, and its primary purpose is to cultivate peace, harmony, and individual well-being for all. One simple, clear, and consensual laws. The first and most striking feature of Joytopia is its simplicity and clarity. There are only 100 federal laws in effect at any given time, each designed to be easy to understand and follow. These laws are written at a 6th grade reading level, ensuring that every member of society, regardless of education or background, can comprehend and participate fully in the governance of their lives. The laws in Joytopia are designed with a specific focus on the preservation of joy and the well-being of all individuals. These laws are created through consent, meaning that every person has a voice in shaping the laws that govern them, and they agree to these laws because they know they will enhance their well-being. All laws are temporary and expire every 5 years, encouraging regular review, feedback, and updating to ensure they remain aligned with the ever-evolving needs and values of society. This expiration system prevents laws from becoming outdated, ensuring that Joytopia always remains a dynamic and responsive society, adapting to the needs of its people and their pursuit of joy. 2. Consent and personal agency. Consent is central to Joytopia's philosophy. Every action, interaction, and agreement is based on mutual consent, and it is woven into every fabric of society. People are free to express themselves fully, knowing that their autonomy is respected and their personal agency is valued. Consent is not just limited to legal matters but extends to all aspects of life, including relationships, work, and social dynamics. It's understood that no one can be forced into anything, whether that's a decision, a situation, or an emotion. In Joytopia, consent is the foundation of all healthy relationships, whether between individuals, groups, or institutions. This leads to a profound sense of trust and safety across the society. 3. Joy coaches and the bar system. Rather than relying on punitive systems or traditional law enforcement, Joytopia employs joy coaches who help people align with the bar system. Best rated joy, action, repeat. Joy coaches are highly trained in the art of promoting joy and well-being, and they guide individuals and communities toward optimal happiness and fulfillment. Joy coaches do not enforce laws through punishment, but instead use positive reinforcement, empathy, and education to ensure everyone is operating within the framework of joy. If someone is not living in alignment with their joy, joy coaches provide healing and coaching sessions, helping the individual rediscover their path to happiness. Their job is not to punish but to help others find the joy within themselves, which naturally leads to positive behavior and community contributions. 4. Healing circles and conflict resolution. In Joytopia, there is no jail system. Rather than resorting to punitive measures, conflict or wrongdoing is handled through healing circles. When someone causes harm, whether intentionally or unintentionally, they enter a process of healing, where they engage in restorative dialogues with those affected by their actions. This encourages both accountability and forgiveness, allowing for growth and understanding to emerge from every conflict. These healing circles allow individuals to express their emotions, work through misunderstandings, and find common ground in a supportive, non-judgmental environment. The focus is always on restoring balance and ensuring that all parties involved leave the process with a deeper understanding of themselves and each other. In this way, harm is acknowledged, but punishment is not the goal. The goal is healing and the restoration of joy. 5. Joy as the driving force of the economy. In Joytopia, the economy is built on the pursuit of joy, rather than wealth accumulation or competition. Individuals are encouraged to pursue careers and activities that bring them joy, and society provides the resources and opportunities for them to do so. The work people do, whether in creative fields, education, healthcare, or service, is valued based on its capacity to contribute to the collective joy of society, rather than financial gain or status. The economic model is designed to ensure that everyone has access to the basic necessities of life, food, shelter, healthcare, and education, without the burden of economic inequality. Everyone's contributions are respected, and their personal joy is seen as the most valuable commodity. 6. Community and connection. Community is at the heart of Joytopia. The society is organized into small, tight-knit communities that share a deep sense of connection and mutual support. These communities celebrate joy in all its forms, through festivals, art, music, nature, and shared activities. People are encouraged to connect with one another on a deeper level, forming meaningful relationships that enrich their lives. In addition to this, Joytopia places great emphasis on the importance of nature. Nature is revered, respected, and preserved, and people spend ample time outdoors, engaging in activities that strengthen their bonds with the environment. Joytopia understands that humans are part of the natural world, and by aligning with nature, they are aligning with their truest selves. 7. Education for Joy. Education in Joytopia is based on the concept of learning through joy. Rather than focusing on rote memorization or achievement, schools and educational systems teach young people to discover their passions and their unique paths to joy. Children are encouraged to follow their curiosity, explore their interests, and learn in ways that feel engaging and exciting. The emphasis in Joytopia is on well-being, creativity, emotional intelligence, and interpersonal skills, preparing children not just for academic success, but for a life of fulfillment and joy. Educators, much like joy coaches, guide students in developing their capacity for joy and emotional sustainability, fostering a sense of inner peace that lasts a lifetime. Conclusion: a future of infinite joy in a Joytopian society. All systems are designed to enhance joy, nurture well-being, and create a harmonious collective where every individual's needs are met, and their potential is fully realized. Through simple laws, consent, healing circles, joy coaching, and an economy rooted in joy, the society operates not out of fear, punishment, or control, but out of mutual respect, love, and the desire to live the most joyful life possible. This is a world where every action and intention is ultimately aimed at achieving the highest expression of joy, where each person's joy is seen as central to the well-being of the whole. It is a society where individual fulfillment and collective harmony are inextricably linked, creating a world where joy is the law, and the ultimate purpose of all existence. 7. Global rates, local, joy pockets. In the Joytopian framework, we recognize that joy is not distributed evenly across the world. Instead, it varies by region, culture, environment, and even personal experience. This is why we measure global joy rates, but within those larger patterns, the most important factor is how individuals interact with the specific places they inhabit. Joy pockets exist in almost every corner of the world, and one's ability to find and build a life around 10/10 places is key to experiencing consistent and profound joy. 1. Global joy ratings and local context. The Global Joy Map provides a general framework for understanding which regions tend to harbor higher levels of joy, but it is personal experience that ultimately determines how someone vibes with a particular area. For example, while we might rank regions like Russia or certain pockets of Asia as having a 5/10 or higher in joy, it is crucial to recognize that local environments can dramatically shift the joy experience for individuals. Russia, 8/10, might be a deeply joyful place overall, yet certain regions, like Yekaterinburg, 10/10, can provide a profound depth of joy that feels more authentic and natural than others. Asia, 5/10, generally has areas that are vibrant with energy and growth, but even within that region, specific cities or neighborhoods might offer an abundance of joyticles that stand out. However, joy is not static. It's deeply personal and can shift depending on a variety of factors like work, relationships, and environment. The beauty of the Joytopian philosophy is that you can find or create a 10/10 environment near where you are. 2. Finding joy pockets in your environment. Joy pockets are those areas, whether they are neighborhoods, workspaces, or social circles that feel exceptionally aligned with your natural joy frequency. You may not always be able to move to a region with a high joy rating, like Yekaterinburg, Russia, but you can create a 10/10 experience by curating your life in such a way that you spend your time in places and with people that bring out the best in you. You can craft your environment to be filled with joy at all levels. Work. Choose a job that aligns with your values and purpose, ideally one that allows you to experience deep fulfillment. It doesn't matter if the job is widely seen as prestigious or high-paying. If it's not aligned with your joy, it will lower your overall experience. Work that brings you joy is work that feels natural and exciting, energizing you instead of draining you. Home. Find a place to live that supports your well-being. Whether it's a specific neighborhood, a particular home design, or simply the energy of the space where you live can massively influence how much joy you experience on a daily basis. Social circles. Surround yourself with people who are aligned with your joy, those who support your growth, celebrate your successes, and encourage your overall well-being. Seek out like-minded individuals who also strive to live their most joyful lives. Their energy will amplify yours. 3. Building your life around 10/10 places. Imagine building your life with an unwavering focus on places that give you 10/10 joy. From work, to home, to shopping, and hangout spots. The idea is to consistently choose places where joyticles are abundant and naturally flow. When you're immersed in these environments, they support you, nurture your soul, and ensure that your internal joy remains high. This can mean choosing a job that allows you to thrive in a positive, joyful environment, with colleagues who are encouraging and motivating. Shopping in stores or working in spaces that uplift you, instead of draining your energy. For example, markets with locally sourced goods, clean aesthetics, and kind, present service people naturally elevate joy. Hanging out in social hubs or local spots where conversations feel easy and connections are authentic, where nature is part of the experience, or where you can engage in meaningful creative or physical activities. What matters is that you vibe with it, that it feels true and real to you. The process of finding these pockets of joy isn't just about external locations, it's also about cultivating the right mindset and alignment with what brings you joy. This mindset will guide you to see joy pockets where they exist and recognize when you're in alignment with them. For using the Global Joy Map or personal intuition, while global joy rates, like those of the UN's Happy Index map, can serve as a helpful tool in deciding where to move or visit, it's important to remember that joy is ultimately subjective. Some people might feel the most joy in nature-rich environments, like Yekaterinburg, while others might find it in lively, cultural cities or secluded, serene towns. You can choose to either defer to the global ratings, or better yet, rely on your own inner compass and intuition. Do you feel at ease in a certain place? Do you find yourself energized by your surroundings? Does the place nurture your spirit? That's your indicator that you've found a joy pocket. Ultimately, it's about aligning where you are with where you feel joy. You don't need to wait for a global scale to tell you where to go. Your feelings and experiences in the present moment are the best guide. 5. How to build your life around joy pockets. To consistently experience 10/10 joy, you will need to identify and prioritize joy-rich environments in your life, be it in the people you surround yourself with, the work you do, or the places you visit. Explore and experiment, try different areas or cities, revisit places you feel connected to, and see where you truly feel joy. Regularly assess your surroundings, check if your current locations still align with your joy. Are your work and living spaces draining or energizing you? If necessary, make changes. Trust your vibes, follow your intuition, as it knows which places resonate most deeply with your joy. By doing this, you will naturally build your life in and around places that fuel your joy, ensuring that you are always living in alignment with the highest joy potential. 8 Life Graph. In the framework of a Joytopian lifestyle, the concept of aligning your inner world with your external environment is crucial to living a balanced, joyful life. The life graph is a representation of how your internal joy, your emotional state, thoughts, and overall mindset merges with the external environments and experiences you immerse yourself in. Your overall joy rating comes from the synergy of these two factors. While environmental joy, the places you live, work, and socialize in, plays a huge role in determining your well-being, it is equally important to raise your internal joy to a level that complements and amplifies the benefits of your external environment. This process isn't just about fixing external factors, it's about aligning your inner state with the joy-filled surroundings you create for yourself. When both your internal and external environments are optimized, your overall joy rating becomes a fluid, thriving experience. 1. Internal joy optimization. Reverse engineering success. To raise your internal joy, you can begin by reverse engineering your future ideal self. Ask yourself, what would a 10/10 joyful version of me do? This technique is akin to tapping into the wisdom of your future successful self, someone who has mastered the art of joy. The idea is that this future you already knows how to reach the highest levels of joy, and by learning from that version of yourself, you can begin to align your current actions with those strategies. You might ask, what habits do you have as a 10/10 joyful person? How do you treat others, and how do they treat you? What are the thoughts that run through your mind when you're at your highest joy? How do you respond to challenges, and how do you celebrate success? Once you have these answers, start incorporating those actions, thoughts, and behaviors into your current life. Successful, you can act as a coach guiding your transformation. This process could include things like daily gratitude practices, embracing positive affirmations, setting boundaries, and engaging in activities that bring you natural joy, whether that's reading, exercising, or simply spending time in nature. Through this reverse engineering, you bring yourself closer to a 10/10 internal state, aligning your mindset, actions, and emotional responses with joy, which, in turn, makes the external world feel even more aligned with your desires. 2. External environments as joy amplifiers. At the same time, creating an environment that supports your internal joy is just as crucial. This is where the concept of joy pockets comes into play. These are places that are naturally rich with joyticles, where you feel energized, happy, and fulfilled just by being in the space. Whether it's your home, work, or the people you interact with, these environments should nurture your inner world and create a feedback loop that helps you stay grounded in joy. Think of it like location, location, location. Just as plants flourished when they moved from underwater to the land, your joy can flourish in the right environments. This transition is vital. When you surround yourself with joy-rich people, experiences, and settings, it allows you to expand your internal state of joy naturally. The people around you influence your energy, and positive environments amplify your internal emotional state, helping you maintain a consistent experience of joy. 3. The synergy of internal and external. The power of internal joy combined with external joy-rich environments creates an amplified aura of happiness, your overall joy. When these two components align, you enter a state of effortless joy, where the outside world reflects your inner peace, and your internal state supports the outer experiences that fuel your happiness. This creates a virtuous cycle. Your internal joy boosts your environment, and the environment in turn amplifies your internal joy. Consider the life graph as a dual-axis system, with internal joy on one axis and external joy, environment, on the other. Your overall joy rating is the average of these two factors. If you're living in a joyful space but struggling with internal blocks, your overall joy will not be as high as if both elements were in alignment. Conversely, if you're thriving internally but stuck in a low joy environment, your joy will still be limited by external factors. For a real-world example, plants and the evolution to land. A perfect example of this synergy can be drawn from the evolution of plants. Plants were initially submerged underwater, and thus, their growth was limited to almost 0% of the global biomass. However, when they made the transition to land, the entire scope of their growth and influence was amplified, and today, plants represent 80% of all biomass on Earth. This shift, moving from an environment that hindered growth to one that nurtured it, parallels what happens when we optimize both our internal and external environments for joy. Location truly matters, both internally and externally. By being conscious of your internal joy practices, such as mental exercises or mindfulness, and intentionally curating your external spaces, living, working, socializing in places that naturally foster joy, you can experience a tremendous shift in your overall well-being. 5. Creating your own life graph. To optimize your own life graph, you will want to actively work on both axes. Internal. Cultivate an internal environment where you choose joy through mental practices, emotional self-regulation, and self-compassion. Regularly ask yourself, what does my 10/10 self do, and align your actions with this vision. External. Curate a physical environment that supports your inner work. Whether it's through the people you surround yourself with, the places you visit, or the work you do, choose environments that amplify joy, not detract from it. Conclusion. Synergy equals joy. Your life graph, the balance between your internal and external joy, creates an aura of radiant well-being that goes beyond temporary happiness or pleasure. The true essence of joy comes from this alignment between your inner state and the external environments you cultivate, ensuring your overall joy rating remains high. By reverse engineering success from your most joyful self and building life around joy-rich places, you can create an existence where joy is abundant, both inside and outside. In a Joytopian society, we prioritize this balance, giving people the tools to elevate their inner states while also ensuring their external environments are constantly enriching and aligned with the joy they seek. 9. Name changing. In a Joytopian society, there are numerous ways to actively support and amplify your joy, and the most powerful of these methods, both in terms of impact and accessibility, is name changing. This simple yet profound action has the ability to shift identity, creating a ripple effect that touches nearly every area of your life. But name changing isn't the only method. There are other powerful techniques you can use to actively align with joy, each reinforcing the essence of who you are and the life you want to live. Let's explore the profound impact of name changing and dive into other methods that can support and enhance your joy experience. 1. Name changing. The ultimate identity shift. A name change is more than just an adjustment to your legal identity, it is an act of rebirth, a new path, a new way of being. The name you carry with you every day is an integral part of your self-concept. It shapes how you perceive yourself, how others perceive you, and how you move through the world. Changing your name can redefine your sense of self and align you more deeply with your ultimate joy and purpose. Here's why name changing is such a potent tool. Identity reset. Your name is more than just a label, it is tied to your identity, your sense of belonging, and your past. When you change your name, you signal to yourself that you are choosing a new direction, one that is based on joy. It's as if you are claiming your true essence in a powerful, tangible way. This new name is a direct expression of who you are and who you choose to become. The ripple effect, changing your name, has far-reaching implications. It affects your mindset, how you interact with others, and even how others engage with you. A new name can clear away any old associations with past pain, trauma, or negative experiences, and give you the freedom to step into a new, higher version of yourself. The act of changing your name is an assertion of ownership over your joy and destiny, and it sets a clear intention for your future. Practical and accessible. What makes name changing so accessible is that it is cheap or even free. Depending on your resources, it may only take a few weeks. For those who are financially constrained, this method is especially empowering because it is within reach. You don't need to spend money to access this transformation, which means you have total autonomy over your identity and joy. The act of claiming your joy can happen almost instantly with a simple change in how you name yourself. Total life integration. A new name isn't just about filling out a new form or document, it's about reinventing every aspect of your life. It aligns every area of your being with your deeper, true self. Your name, being a central part of your identity, serves as a foundational anchor to express joy and purpose throughout your day. It shifts how you think, how you act, and how the world responds to you. 2. Journaling. Sorting out emotions and reinforcing joy. Another powerful tool to support joy is journaling, a deeply personal and reflective practice that allows you to explore your emotions, set intentions, and reinforce your alignment with joy. Through journaling, you can begin to sort through complex emotions, uncover underlying truths, and clear mental clutter. Here's how journaling works to support joy. Emotional clarity. Journaling allows you to externalize your thoughts and emotions. This can help you sort through confusion, frustration, or sadness, and bring clarity to what truly brings you joy. Writing allows you to uncover patterns and behaviors that are holding you back and gives you the chance to reframe them. Tracking joy progress. Journaling helps you track your growth in joy. You can note your daily experiences, your emotional state, and how you are actively cultivating joy. This provides a tangible record of your progress and shows you the positive changes you're making over time. Creative expression. Journaling is also a way to creatively express joy. You can write affirmations, poetry, or simple reflections on the things that make you feel good, reinforcing the presence of joy in your life. The act of writing can help you engage with joy in a structured, intentional way, especially when you focus on expressing gratitude and celebrating the moments that bring you joy. 3. Nature. Connecting with the Earth's joyticles. Spending time in nature is one of the most powerful ways to support your joy. Nature provides a rich environment filled with life-giving energy, and being immersed in natural surroundings can help you align more fully with your natural state of joy. Nature's healing power. The natural world is imbued with its own joyticles, providing a source of grounding and nourishment. Being outdoors allows you to sync with the natural flow of life, releasing stress, calming the mind, and reconnecting with the deeper joy that exists within and around you. Presence and peace. In nature, you are forced to slow down and be present. This presence allows you to tune into your joyful self and discover peace in the simplicity of being. Whether it's a walk in the forest, a moment by the ocean, or just sitting under the stars, nature helps you reconnect with your inherent joy. For writing and reinforcing joy, affirmations and creative expression. Beyond journaling, writing can be a consistent method of reinforcing joy. One way to do this is through affirmations, where you write and speak the positive aspects of your life. Affirmations help retrain your brain to focus on the good and reinforce your connection to joy. Expressing joy creatively, writing isn't just for reflection, it can also be for creative expression. Poetry, storytelling, or even song lyrics can all serve as a form of creative release and joy reinforcement. When you create art from joy, you feed that joy and increase its power. 5. Custom clothes and posters, physical reminders of joy. Another practical method to support joy is through custom clothes and posters, physical reminders of the joy you are cultivating. These serve as visual cues throughout your day, grounding you in the feeling of joy and reminding you of your intentions. Custom clothes, wearing clothes that reflect who you are, whether they display affirmations, symbols, or designs that bring you joy, can create a constant sense of alignment with your highest self. These clothes act as visual and physical affirmations that remind you of your joyful purpose. Custom posters. Posters can serve as powerful visual reinforcements of your goals, dreams, and the joy you are striving for. Whether you decorate your home with reminders of joy or positive affirmations, these visual cues help maintain your alignment and keep you focused on what matters most, your joy. Conclusion: the power of small shifts. In summary, name changing is the most powerful and transformative method for aligning yourself with joy. It is simple, free, and affects every area of your life. But it is by no means the only tool available. Journaling, connecting with nature, expressing joy creatively through writing, and surrounding yourself with physical reminders of joy, such as custom clothes or posters, all serve to reinforce and amplify your joy. By incorporating these practices into your daily life, you can continually raise your joy to higher levels, making every moment an opportunity to experience more joy in your life. 10 overall rates in the pursuit of joy and alignment. There is a simple yet effective framework we can use to understand and measure our overall experience. This framework takes the shape of a pyramid, with joy at the top and the foundation composed of various levels of experience that range from pure joy to the absence of joy, suffering. This pyramid offers a cheat sheet guide, a rough outline of where you might fall on the scale of joy and how you can elevate your life by moving toward the top. The idea is to create a scale of joy that makes it easy for anyone to understand where they currently stand and what changes can move them up the pyramid toward higher joy experiences. The pyramid structure: at the bottom, we have the lowest forms of energy, experiences, and emotions, and at the top, we have the highest form of pure, formless joy that exists beyond our direct comprehension. Each layer of the pyramid represents a different level of joy, and as you ascend, you move closer to your true essence of joy. 1. Bottom of the pyramid, 0-1 no light, trauma, and pain description. At the very bottom of the pyramid, there is no joy or energy. This level represents deep suffering, pain, and trauma. It is the absence of joyticles, the coldest state of being, like the void before creation. Key characteristics: suffering, despair, emptiness, stagnation, deep pain. Examples: living in environments of constant stress, abuse, isolation, or living with deep unresolved trauma. 2. Actionable advice: the focus here is on healing and restoring joy. To move up, seek support through therapy, nurturing environments, and tools that help shift your mindset, such as meditation, counseling, or energy work. 3. Low middle, 1-2 basic pleasures and survival mode description. Here, the experience is more basic, focused on survival, comfort, and temporary pleasures. While you may feel a slight uptick in joy from activities like eating, sex, or entertainment, they are short-lived, and do not connect you to a deeper sense of purpose or alignment. Key characteristics: money, food, sex, TV, distraction, superficial connection. Examples: seeking quick gratification, living day-to-day without much joy or meaning. Temporary highs from consumerism or comfort but lacking lasting fulfillment. For actionable advice, focus on gradually shifting away from distractions toward more authentic sources of joy. Connecting with nature, meaningful relationships, and internal joy can start to move you higher. 5. Middle of the pyramid. 3-5 Engaging with life, momentary joy description. This level represents a life that is still largely externalized, but with moments of joy and fulfillment. You start to experience joy from nature, meaningful hobbies, and some personal success, but you're still somewhat influenced by external forces and circumstances. Key characteristics: moderate joy, social connections, hobbies, recreation, small moments of satisfaction. Examples: enjoying nature, spending time with family and friends, engaging in activities that bring momentary joy but still needing external circumstances to fully feel content. 6. Actionable advice. This is a good foundation, but the goal is to shift toward internal joy. Practice mindfulness, focus on cultivating gratitude, and recognize moments of joy, amplifying them with positive thoughts. 7. Upper middle. 6-7 Alignment with joy, purposeful living description. At this level, you begin to align with your authentic self, and you experience consistent joy that is less dependent on external events. You are more in touch with your purpose, and joy is not just momentary but a more sustained experience. Key characteristics: feeling aligned with your purpose, sense of satisfaction, peaceful living, engagement in meaningful work, and relationships. Examples: living in accordance with your values, having fulfilling work, and engaging in activities that nurture your well-being. While external factors may still play a role, you're increasingly internally aligned with joy. 8. Actionable advice. Continue building internal joy by engaging in purpose-driven work, cultivating self-awareness, and fostering relationships that support your growth. Here, you can embrace the joy you already have, making it more consistent and lasting. 9. Top of the pyramid. 8-10 Peak joy, ultimate alignment description. This is the ultimate state of joy, a formless, fluid experience that transcends the individual. It is the highest alignment with the joyticles that make up the fabric of reality. At this level, joy is no longer dependent on external circumstances but arises naturally and abundantly within. This level of joy is akin to being in Joytopia, a state of bliss, flow, and purpose. Key characteristics: pure, abundant joy, peace, formless connection with all that is, deep spiritual fulfillment, compassion, and love. Examples: living in total joy, being present in every moment, deeply connected with your higher self, and in a harmonious state with the world. This is the ultimate state where joy flows effortless. 10. Actionable advice. To maintain this state, keep your environment aligned with joy and engage in practices that sustain your connection to it. This might involve meditation, gratitude, and conscious practices that continuously elevate your joy. Actionable cheat sheet guide to Joy 01, no light / trauma seek healing, therapy, and supportive environments to release trauma and move toward joy. 1-2 Basic pleasures. Begin focusing on authentic joy sources. Shift from temporary fixes to lasting fulfillment. 3-5 Momentary joy. Engage in mindful living, create positive habits, and prioritize self-awareness to enhance joy. 6-7 Alignment. Align your actions with your values and pursue joy internally. Strengthen your purpose and emotional well-being. 8-10 Peak joy. Live in Joytopia, with a constant flow of joy, love, and alignment. Deeply connected to your higher self.